Speaking of news, Japan PM stepping down. What? Wait, what? Dude, Japan is going through it right now. He's stepping down. Kishida is stepping down as scandals prove too much. Damn, he didn't even have the Biden walkout. He's not even too old. He's just too scandaled. To address the impact of rising prices. But this is the real thing, dude. This is the real problem. Is that nobody in Japan can solve this problem. It's hot potato. They're just gonna bounce back and forth until it becomes too big to ignore. I don't know how they deal with the fact that their currency is going to shit. What's the yen USD at today? USD to yen, 146. Japan Central Bank. Dude, I remember when I was in Japan, we were visiting Japan, and I made Ari go to the Japanese Central Bank on a tour. She asked me if there was anything I wanted to do, and I was like, I do have an idea. And then we fucking went across Tokyo to the central bank. I took a picture in front of it. I went inside. They have these little stands on like the history of money in Japan. I was reading them. Did you have fun? I had a blast. I loved it. It's my favorite part of the trip. Not my favorite part, but one of my favorite parts. I thought it was so cool. They had like little, they had the early Japanese coins that you put the string through to count them all. They had like examples of early inflation. They had like, you know, the first bills in Japan and how they got overprinted and how like gangs would create their own version of them and have their own, each have their own currency. It was cool. It was really sick. I thought it was badass, but it was all in Japanese for some reason. So I had to get the little earphone translator thing. Bills like Clinton. Yeah, Bill Clinton was there. Do you know the Japanese have Bill Clinton on display at their own central bank? It's crazy. He's there all the time. From opening till closing every day. Prove it. You go there. You'll be there. I promise. Wait, did they rate hike again? Am I crazy? What the fuck? I'm just reading this news. I didn't catch it. Dude, they're dragging this. This is like classic endgame stuff, dude. The Parliament of Japan is dragging their central banker, their version of Jerome Powell, in front of Parliament to discuss rate hike. Central banks are supposed to be independent, but like when times get tough, all of a sudden there's like a real political pressure. You can't hike rates to stop inflation because it crashes markets. But what are you going to do? Because you're going to get inflation. They're in such an unwinnable position. Hey, Big A, I've been a YouTube viewer for a while and asked your opinion on how you think Trump keeping rates low will affect the economy if he ends up winning. I think that is one thing he wants to do is force rates back down to zero. My estimation is it'll lead to a resurgence of inflation. Nobody wants to be the bad guy who brings rates up. The reason we did it was to fight inflation. And we have gotten the rate of inflation change down, not prices down, but the rate of growth down. And my estimation is that Wall Street and real estate speculators and Airbnb jocks and everybody wants rates back down as fast as possible to save their skins. If we do get it forced down, we're gonna get inflation roaring back. That's my not even prediction. I think that's a fact, bro. But we'll see. Well, they just gradually lower rates. That's what they're gonna do. They have to. In September, they're going to have to cut. The unemployment rate is rising too fast. They're going to have to cut. I think it's going to be too little too late, but they're going to do it in September. And when you really got to worry, again, and I don't know, nobody cares when you hear interest rates, some people your eyes just glaze over, and I don't blame you. But when you start seeing headlines, which you will probably see, calling for emergency rate cuts, because the Federal Reserve, they meet, is it 4 times a year? 5? How often do they meet? Yeah, it's once a quarter. So 4 times a year, they meet in these times, and that's when they decide if they're going to raise or lower rates. So September's the next meeting. They're going to cut for sure there. But when they start calling for emergency intra-meeting cuts, that means like emergency meeting outside of the scheduled meeting and then cutting then, that's when you know shit hit the fan. That's when you know shit's panicking. And you're going to see that. What is the BOJ supposed to do in fiscal policy? No, the BOJ can't do anything. ESMB, that's what I've been trying to say for months now. It's too late. There's no right interest rate for Japan because they have too much debt. So if they raise it, then they can't afford any, the government will run out of money paying interest payments. And if they keep it low, then their currency just gets weaker and weaker and weaker. What can only happen is every other country cuts their rates back down to zero, and then there's no gap. Nothing they can do personally. It's other countries have to do things. Hey, it's Rock here in NZ. We've had the OCR, official cash rate, drop 0.25 basis points for the first time in 4 years. Is this the good news for our economy? This is your interest rate? Are you dropping your interest rate? America's going to do it in September is the idea. The idea is it's supposed to start juicing the economy a bit, but this is a really small drop. I think people are overestimating how much a 0.25 is going to do in September. And also, one thing I'll say is outside of official financial discussions, don't use basis points, bro. It sounds so nerdy. Have I ever seen the meme? The old guy swishing the wine around and looking very fancy, and it's like how I feel when I use basis points instead of percent. Big A. I dumped my savings into nuclear energy ETFs in the hopes they would rebrand to Elon Energy. Just thought you'd want to hop on board before you get left behind. Well, I'd hate to get left behind. I would hate for me and my family to feel left behind on this movement. And I'm already starting to get FOMO. I already feel like I'm somewhat smaller or lesser than because I haven't invested my money on this emotional feeling I'm having in this one moment. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to dismiss you outright live, but then immediately after stream, sell everything I own and put it all into nuclear energy ETFs. It's not just a stock, it's a community. Holy shit. Now I feel even more like I have to be part of it because I feel like, in an increasingly isolated world, I feel a little bit detached and I'm constantly hunting for not just financial security, but a community, a sense of belonging. And you're telling me I can get both from your investment idea? This is incredible. I'm going to jump in with both feet and not look behind me. Call me Michael Phelps because I'm swimming. I was trying to read some positive takes on that call yesterday between Elon and Trump because I had a very negative outlook on it during and after. And I was trying to find, I'm trying to balance myself out. What do people like about it? I just didn't find myself agreeing. I think people that liked it were being so charitable. They were being so charitable about what was actually said and the way it was said. And they were like rephrasing it to be different. It was close, but it was different. And I found that to be a little annoying to me. Didn't seem to move the needle outside of people who are like, I don't think it was about moving the needle. I just was trying to, listen, I still think, I know some people are like, it's over, Kamala won, which it's just crazy. I'm still of the camp that Trump is at worst a coin flip here. And so I'm just trying to understand, like, what can I expect if he's president? I didn't like that interview. I didn't feel like it was any concrete plan. Even the stuff that I liked, which is like the nuclear energy thing, it was mostly Elon kind of weaseling it in, and then Trump didn't even seem cognizant of it. He was kind of like, yeah. It didn't feel like anything that I could count on. I have a friend who said the interview made him scared for the future and nothing else. I think he was definitely trying to make people afraid. They're really bringing up nuclear war a lot. Should I put all my money into Twitter? Yeah, you should. Don't worry about the fact that you can't do that because it's a private company and they don't sell stock. I think you should just find a way to get your money to Elon and tell him it's for Twitter. Do you think any of the too big to fail companies are be allowed to fail again now that we're in this stage of capitalism? I don't have an answer for your question. Allowing a company to fail is an interesting question because it implies that every single company can always be saved. For example, when we had the bank failures mid last year with Silicon Valley Bank, and the government stepped in and backstopped them more than the FDIC insurance. So they backstop. Normally the government will backstop every bank up to $250,000 per account. They backstopped millions. They backstopped all of it. The government came in, used taxpayer money, and made everybody whole. The implication when they did that was that they will do that for every bank. They haven't said that, but like if like your local farmer's bank failed and they go, why'd you save SVB and not us? You know what I'm saying? It causes that. Now, if they were to do it for every bank, that would be hundreds of trillions of dollars. They don't have the money. Do you know what I'm saying? So there's a level where it's no longer a realistic thing to save. I think there are certain companies that are too big to fail, absolutely, and will be backstopped. I think there are other companies which you might think are too big to fail, and they may let them fail. And always, based on like 2007 and 8, generally the first one to go, the government lets them fail. The first big one to go, the government lets them fail, and then the catastrophe starts. Because once one is allowed to fail, it scares everyone else into moving their money, which causes bigger problems. That's the idea. So I don't know. I wouldn't make a strong bet one way or another. Any change in who you think will win the election? No, I remain the same. I think I would give a slight edge to Trump, but essentially a coin flip. And that's only because I'm not looking so much at the popular vote. I'm looking at the Electoral College and the swing states. It just seems to me like he's still got the edge, but it's very, very close. Very, very close. Changing every day. Who knows?